In 1991, a trio of blue silent men took the stage and put on a display of light and sound. They are called the Blue Man Group, and they're an art collective that specializes in creatively constructed instruments. Their music has inspired many to build instruments and paint their faces, and even they themselves have become icons. The cerulean-skinned men have appeared and performed in songs in many commercials for companies like Intel, and they remain a fixture in major cities around the world. On the techno front, two young Frenchmen broke out and created not only amazing music, but a striking image of two robots, one silver and one gold, Thomas Bangalter and Guy Manuel, respectively. The two were said to have been victims of a sound studio explosion. When they came to, they were in the robot suits. Accident or not, the droids created catchy songs, many of which were sampled from funk and rock legends from yesteryear. Always evolving, they didn't stop at techno. They also released a funk disco rock album featuring the likes of Nile Rodgers and Giorgio Moroder. These two are less active than most, having only released 7 albums, a few remixes, and film scores, but when an album does come out, it makes an impact. Songs such as Around the World, Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, Technologic, and Get Lucky seem to not age. A year later, the Aquabats would take advantage of the sillier aspects of performing in costume. The Aquabats are a nebulously structured band with several members and even multiple groups of fans called Aqua Cadets. They shine in singing songs mostly for children, but their cheesy presentation has drawn many above that demographic. Like the Blue Man Group, they have become associated with another brand, Yo Gabba Gabba, which the two lead members of the band created. A long stride from the days of shocking and disturbing the audience, the 90s saw a trend in music become more mainstream on all fronts. The musicians were expanding to test creative waters. Whereas Kiss and Alice Cooper were admonished by parents, the Blue Man Group and the Aquabats were largely family-friendly. This may be the result of a panic that swept the music industry in 1989, particularly targeted at rap. The censorship scare made it harder for artists to produce music. Several morality groups existed at the time and blew the whistle on much of media in the 80s and 90s. However, there always is the odd one out, and that one was Slipknot, a heavy metal rock group founded in 1995 in Iowa. This band sought to unsettle and rock, and they did both in equal measure. The aggressive tone of the music won over metal fans and even earned them a Grammy. The masks of the band were stemmed from one member, Sean, taking a clown mask to rehearsals early in the group's history. They also wore matching jumpsuits and numbered themselves as a commentary on commercialism. All this resulted in one of the most striking bands of the 90s, and it didn't come without its fair share of blame for various atrocities. Their symbol, the nonogram, has been called satanic, and their lyrics have been said to cause people to commit crimes. Both are false, but it shows how little some things have changed since the 70s. Gorillaz, a band formed in England by a collaboration between an illustrator and a singer, may have the distinguishing title of the first cartoon band not associated with a TV show. The sound is alternative, but the look may surprise the uninitiated. Instead of humans, the stage is filled by 4 fictional musicians: 2D, Murdoch, Noodle, and Russell. All members have continuing character arcs and personalities, and even give interviews and live shows. They're most known for songs like Dirty Harry and Feel Good Inc., but have stacks of hits that accompany artful and engulfing music videos. They are the building blocks for bands like Hatsune Miku, a Japanese holographic singer, and bending the idea of what a band could be. Another thing that makes the band unique is its lineup. Only 1 or 2 artists are consistent, while the other parts are usually filled in by local musicians, ensuring no 2 performances are ever the same. Following in the footsteps of Slipknot, Hollywood Undead formed as a rap-rock band. Their first album was successful, and by their second, they had a sizable following. The masks of the members are far less coveted than those of the Residents or Daft Punk, as they would cut out the mouths and chins of the faces for live performances. They would frequently be seen without them, and would not make much of an effort to disguise themselves at all. Even though this was the case, the masks evolved with the release of each new album. As many people would compare the band to Slipknot, it became a cornerstone of discussion, and it seems like everyone who is a fan of either group has an opinion of who did what first, who looks better, and who sounds better. As the 2010s arrived, more masked musicians cropped up. Too many to count. but artists like deadmau5, Steam-Powered Giraffe, Marshmello, Ghost, and Sia all carve out names and faces for themselves in their respective genres. No one can deny that there's something about a mask. Maybe it's the way one can project themselves on the artist, or the idea or symbol they become, or just the mystery. It seems like removing what makes them human can bring them closer to their art.